The show opens with Jericho Appreciation Society making their entrance all in matching purple suits. Angelo Parker asks the AEW Galaxy to appreciate them, and Daddy Magic talks about how he called the pizza guy in and he asks what kind of pizza he made. Jericho also says they can't have the pizza, but they can have the most important ROH World Champion in history. He says more people have seen him with the belt than any other ROH World Champion in history, and he's gonna change the way ROH is remembered, and this is the era of Ring of Jericho. Chris turns to Daniel Garcia and puts him over, giving him a gift. Garcia opens it and pulls out a purple bucket hat, but Garcia takes the hat off and considers it before throwing it on the ground and decking Luigi Primo. He says this is enough, this isn't him, and he tolerated it for a little bit, but he's finally had enough. Jericho asks if he's a sports entertainer or a pro wrestler. Garcia takes a long measured stare into Y2J's eyes, and then comes Bryan Danielson. Danielson gets in the ring and tells Jericho he needs to stop making decisions for Garcia and tells Daniel that he's a man and respects his decision, and if he wants to be with Jericho Appreciation Society or Blackpool Combat Club, he can do what he likes. Then Daniel pitches a match, Garcia and Bryan vs Guevara and Jericho, but Matt Menard yells at him and says they're sick of his crap, and threatens to punch Danielson and knock him out right here in Philadelphia. Then Bryan says he has good news. He can have a match with anyone who wants to fight him, so he wants Daddy Magic right now. Then we saw a match between Bryan Danielson vs Matt Menard, and during the match, Angelo Parker was disturbing Bryan Danielson, but Claudio comes and attacked on Parker, and bring him to backstage, and then Bryan Danielson won the match by submission by connecting the label lock. Then Wheeler Yuta comes charging down and gets on the mic, calling MJF out and saying they've got a real problem, and it's not the cheap shot from last week, it's that he had the audacity to put his hands on Tony Schiavone, a man who's done more for AEW than Max ever will. He said MJF likes to run and hide, behind the inner circle, behind the pinnacle, behind the firm, behind this very microphone, because he knows once the bell rings, he can't hang. Maxwell Jacob Friedman comes, and mocks Schiavone as a fat old prick and a coward, just like everyone in this podunk arena, except Wheeler, who he gives credit. He says Yuta has about as much charisma as Joe Frazier does today, and Joe Frazier is dead, and then he said he makes more money than anyone in the arena or watching at home. Wheeler says he's gonna leave Max in a pool of blood on Broad Street, and he said bad things happen in Philadelphia, and tonight is no exception. Yuta hops out of the ring, but MJF calls the ass boys down to save himself from the beatdown. He asks the crowd if they want the match and of course, says they're not gonna get it. Max said he will fight Wheeler Yuta in DC next week and he refuses to give Philly the benefit of his catchphrase, leaving the ass boys to do it for him. Then ass boys tells the catchphrase which is MJF is better than you, and you know it. Then we saw the AEW World Championship Eliminator match between Jon Moxley vs Juice Robinson, and the result of this match was Jon Moxley won the match by submission with a cross armbar. After the match, Hangman Adam Page comes to confront Jon Moxley because he has the opportunity to face Moxley for the World Championship because he is the winner of Golden Ticket Grand Slam Battle Royale, and then both started looking at each other. MJF was sitting in the VIP lounge, and he started saying something, but before he can say anything more, Wheeler Yuta attacked him from behind. Yuta throws him out of the box and into the stands, fighting security off while he throws wild punches, but eventually, security manages to get Yuta off of Max. Then Saraya makes her entrance and gets on the mic, and she said she'll create change here, and she is the revolution. It's hard to talk out here, it's been a while, but AEW is officially her house. Give her time cues all you want, she'll take her time and leave when she's ready, and she calls the whole women's roster down. Then Toni Storm makes her entrance, leading Athena, Madison Rayne, Sky Blue, and Willow Nightingale with her. Saraya introduces them, starting with the champ, Toni Storm, who's finally being utilized to her full potential, a fighting champion and the best AEW has seen, and she's honored to be in the ring with her. Dr. Britt Baker interrupts with Rebel, Jamie Hayter, and Penelope Ford, and she said she respects Toni Storm and had high hopes for her when she first got here, but she just couldn't keep away from problematic people, so she and her new little tag partner broke her nose and took her out of the equation. Britt said she's here because Storm has Serena Deeb tonight, and Jamie Hayter will get her shot after Serena does, and then Saraya says she hasn't been around long, but she spoke to Tony Khan, and they decided that this match is going to be a lumberjack match. Then we saw a match between Serena Deeb vs Toni Storm for the interim AEW Women's World Championship in a lumberjack match, and the result of this match was Toni Storm won the match by pinfall with an Avalanche Storm 0 to retain the interim AEW Women's World Championship. Then we saw a match between Eli Isom vs Absolute Ricky Starks, and the result of this match was Ricky Starks won the match by pinfall with Rochambeau. In the main event, we saw a match between Bandito versus Chris Jericho for the ROH World Championship, and the result of this match was Chris Jericho won the match by submission with the Lion Tamer to retain the ROH World Championship. Post-match, Jericho gets on the mic and says the Ring of Jericho era has begun and he's changing what ROH is and he'll desecrate its legacy and beat every great champion that's ever held the title, and he's gonna continue with Bryan Danielson on October 12th. Finally, he said he's gonna take every champion, every legend, and every ring announcer out and nail Bobby Cruise with a Judas effect, and the show goes off the air.